The Socceroos haven't beat Japan since 2009, but a win in front of a sold-out Perth crowd would take a massive step towards earning a 6th consecutive World Cup appearance. In a first half of little chances, the already qualified Japan dominated.
Forward is Yuito Suzuki, options right and left, he goes for goal himself. Well, that's Japan's most dangerous moment yet.
With their first and only opportunity of the first half, the Socceroos laid a reminder that they can be threatening from set pieces.
It's got the mosh pit in there at the moment. Here's Teague's delivery in towards the near post. It did come off an Australian head. Well wide at the end.
Into the second half, Japan continued to create the lion's share of the opportunities.
Nakamura, the first defender with ease, and it's off the head of an Australian defender.
The Socceroos with their backs against the wall, Japan came close with 10 minutes to go.
Top of the box, big chance here for Japan. Oh, and it's just flashed wide off the boots.
In a match destined for a stalemate, Melbourne City Grand Final winning captain Aziz Behich capped off the greatest week of his life.
Well, that's a lovely turn by Riley McGree. The cut back, they're queuing up here. It's Behich! Unbelievable! They've done it! In the very last minute of the game, Aziz Behich with his first international goal in 13 years.
Australia held out for a hero, and Behich was on hand to slice the Samurai Blues with seconds to go. The World Cup now in sight, thanks to a venturous left back. Mark DePoli, Fox Sports News.
Hasn't quite sunk in just yet, but when that final whistle went, it's a great feeling. Look, it was a tough game. We knew we had to grind it out, and the boss said at half-time, no matter how tough it gets, we'll get our opportunity if we stick to it. And look, fortunately enough, it fell for me, and my right foot's been kind to me the last 5 days with the back heel for the goal in the A-League, and now it's managed to see the back of the net again. Yeah, look, football sense, definitely it's the best week, and yeah, look, I'm going to enjoy this one definitely. Like I said, it's been a long campaign.
So the Socceroos' fate then rested in the hands of Saudi Arabia. A loss or draw in their game against Bahrain this morning would have sealed Australia's spot at the World Cup, but the Saudis took the lead in this game in the 16th minute, and they sealed it with a goal in the second half.
And then a ball through by Ali Madrashi. And the goal is scored. And it's the substitute, Abdulrahman Ali Alabud. And surely now, that is the 3 points for Saudi Arabia.
In the other Group C clash, a first-half penalty sealed a 1-0 win for Indonesia over China. They are 4th in the standings. They can still qualify through the 4th round of qualifying, but it'll all depend on what happens next week. For more, I'm joined by our reporter, Dane Lillingston. Dane, good morning to you. How close are the Socceroos now to World Cup qualification?
Good morning, Scotty. I know it's a bit early, but I think you can just about crack out the champagne. Maybe a mimosa, I don't know. But look, that's how close we are to getting into this World Cup now. It's all but certain. You can't underestimate how important this moment is. Of course, we had to wait 32 years from our first World Cup to our second World Cup. Now we're on the cusp of making a 6th consecutive. As we take a look at the table here, Japan is on top, have already qualified. They're 4 points clear of the Aussies. Now that win remains in second. 3 points clear of Saudi Arabia. That's the big one because they're the ones who can still catch the Socceroos. But we look at the goal difference there. It's 8+. So the only way the Saudis, who of course Australia will play on Wednesday morning in Jeddah, so that will be a tough game. They would have to lose up to 5-0 to go that way.
So sorry to cut you off. If it finishes 4-0 there, it's still enough for Australia, right?
That's right. We didn't put the goals for up there, but Australia has 8 goals more total in this qualification process. I believe it's 14-6 off the top of my head, maybe 14-8. It just would not be enough goals. So even if it was 4-0, it still wouldn't be enough. They're looking at a 5-0 win. It would have to be an absolute horror show for the Socceroos to bottle it from here. And look, the goal, we'll get into the goal, as is Behich, an absolutely momentous occasion for him. Scoring that strike, it was not easy. It was a pretty dour game. It's not one you're probably going to watch on repeat anytime soon. But for him to get the job done, a very difficult goal with the cut back, to him to have to go backwards, to get that forwards, an absolute wonder strike to, of course, send the Socceroos really in the box seat for a 6th consecutive World Cup. And Tony Popovic, as you can imagine, many people wrote this Socceroos team off. They hadn't beaten Japan in so long, but they got the job done. A dream come true for the new manager.
Yeah, special night. Obviously the outpouring of emotions when we scored, and obviously after the game. Yeah, it's a moment I'll always remember. You know, there's no greater honour than doing what I'm doing if you can't play. So I'm very honoured with this responsibility, and I'm very proud of everyone involved. So we've all played a part in getting us to this point, and we want to go to Saudi Arabia now and really finish the job off.
Gee, bring on Wednesday morning, early Wednesday morning our time v Saudi Arabia. As you mentioned, even a 4-0 loss would still be good enough for Australia to qualify for the World Cup. Cannot wait for that game. So not quite for Australia yet, but it has been a big morning for some other teams in the Asian qualification process. What can you tell us?
It's all happening. Jordan are in, South Korea are in. They beat Iraq 2-0. The most exciting one is Uzbekistan. Now, we would know the Socceroos fans from watching the qualification process over the years of them. It wasn't the most exciting game. It was 0-0 draw, but you can see the celebrations there. It's their first ever World Cup. You can see the emotions pouring out of that side. So pretty amazing for them to make their first World Cup. And that brings, we will get into that later, but yeah, that is Uzbekistan getting through. So just really beautiful scenes. And that's why we love World Cup qualification.
Awesome pictures, yeah. I was just reading an article about how tight that game was, but good luck to them. So talk us through the teams that have qualified so far.
So we've got 10 teams locked in at the moment. So as you can see, Canada, Mexico, United States, the hosts, Japan in Australia's Group C. They're in. New Zealand takes that Oceania spot. Iran, like we mentioned, Argentina in the South Americans, and then Uzbekistan, South Korea, and Jordan, like we mentioned. So that will, of course, fill up. This is the first ever 48-team FIFA World Cup. So that's going to be exciting. So we will expect more scenes, I imagine, like we just saw with Uzbekistan just then.
Hopefully Australia is one of the next to join that list. Dave Livingston, thanks so much for the update.